So if you have opened it up, it will be on your phone or on your machine. It's a PDF file, and it has got one page. So the idea is, if I look, or if I have a classroom or my lecture room, and I want to do a bit of blended learning, but I also want to do what we call on-site learning. So it means inside the classroom, I also use the technology that's in the cloud. Then I would put a QR code like this, or the address, the URL, or a shortened one on the big screen, and all that students need on their phones. Most phones have got it, tablets have got it. I see the latest laptops also have it in Windows, is a QR code reader or a QR code scanner. QR stands for quick reader. I've tried it with my phone now as well, and the Wi-Fi is not that bad. So I just, on the screen, I just snapped that, or it scanned it, and immediately it opened up the URL for me. So a good thing is during a lecture to put something like this onto the big screen. And I refer to it as an e-handout. Sometimes the quality of the data projector also has an influence. What I found at the university is that the students, when they come into the room, they already have the scanners on, and as they pass the white screen, they scan it. So it downloads while they go and they sit down. Then it picks it up quite fast. My phone has picked it up. And it also depends on what type of technology you use. If it is Apple, or, well, most of this, the Samsung phones does it as well. It can place a PDF inside your e-books or your iBooks on the phone. In yesterday's workshop, I deliberately used the long address, which is frustrating, tedious, and difficult to type in. Like this one, all three of these point to exactly the same thing. So yesterday I used something similar to this, and this is really ridiculous to type in, because it seems like you're decoding the whole time. And when I always say I feel like an Mnet decoder if I see a URL like this. But then what I did was I used another program, which I will show you, to create this, which can just be scanned. And then there's many sites, and Google, certain Google apps have got what they call the shortened URL, which is this one. And then it just makes it shorter and easier to type in. But as soon as you've got that e-handout on your device, it will even be easier to get the link through to people. All right, so the Wi-Fi is a bit stronger, so I think it won't kick us off. Okay. Now, what I find what happens in the classroom with students is when they see this, they sit quite far to the back of the class. They usually just get it from the student next to them. And so it passes on. No. Don't you have a QR scanner on your machine? Okay, no, there won't be one. Yeah, but everything's in capital letters, that's why. https:// Right. So this e-handout, when it's then disseminated or handed out, let me just open the bigger one on my screen. It appears as a PDF called the Learning Experience. Now, a thing that people are now used to is whenever anything in electronic format is underlined, it means it is a hyperlink. The other day, I got work from a lecturer just to evaluate if the pedagogy is right for an online training course. And I nearly swallowed my own tongue because all the headings were underlined. I thought, good heavens, we're not in the school. Underlining in electronic format means it's a hyperlink. A person going to see it on the web will try and click and nothing will happen on that. So, you know, write on the right-hand side of the margin and underline the headings and those type of things. So it's just as if it doesn't want to work. Now mine, that tumble dryer is running because everybody's now onto my Google site that I've shared with you, and that or my Google folder. But the e-handout I've got here on this device. And you will see now there's a simple learning sequence. It says there, the learning experience, let us evaluate what Industry 4.0 means to us. Meaning is underlined. So it means it's a hyperlink. And if I tap on a phone or I click, if I've got a mouse on the device, it's going to open up that document. Okay. I heard someone's also opening the video. There's a video in the link as well. I won't know which is which because the text actually guides me through a specific space. Right, so what I have then when it's downloaded, is called an e-handout. Now that I created in a simple Word document. And it took me 5 minutes to do it. Sorry. So I did it like this. I'm going to open up Microsoft Word. There's the original Word document, the learning experience. So I entitled this workshop Hubbing All My Digital Artifacts Together. Now the digital artifacts I've created for this mock lesson or lecture, I've done by finding a video in YouTube. What I've also done was I got a specific compilation from Wikipedia. It could be any URL, or I could have put it together from an e-textbook, like we heard just before the break. And I used the cloud service that Google gives to me. Now, if you have a Gmail address, you will have this for free. So right here on top in Google, there's my blocks called Google Apps. In here, I've got Google Drive. And if I click on it, that is actually my space in the cloud. It seems like I'm still on. Yeah. And you will see I use this a lot. Because what I can do now is I can travel anywhere in the world, but I've got access to my space in the cloud. So I can merely download, run presentations from there, share stuff with people, and work on it all in the same time. You can see all the folders in there, so it gets quite busy. And what was very nice is Google automatically gives you 15 gigabytes free when you have a Gmail account. So I'm not promoting Google. I'm using it because it's very friendly to me. I won't go and use another thing where I need another degree to be able to operate it. So, and that's part of the technology acceptance model. It has to do with two things. My perceived usefulness, is it really useful to me? And my perception of the ease of use. If it's too difficult to use, I'm not going to use it. So this one seemed to me quite fair enough. So I now pay 129 Rand a year. I don't know if the deal is still the same. But then Google gives me 100 gigabyte free, or 100 gigabyte for 129 Rand a year. And you can see this thing gets busy, and I've used 61.9 gigabyte. The 0.9 was for the workshop today. Right. So, and I've created a folder here called MUT 2018. And if I open it up, there's the PDF that I've shared with you all. And you see the others will pop in now as it's populating. Usually it's very fast. So each one of the files in that folder is actually linked to that e-handout that you got. So beforehand, when I did my preparation, I've gathered or created what I call my digital artifacts. I couldn't send these things to you by last week because of many reasons. First of all, I had to sit and email it to you as a group. Would that be ethically correct? Because then you all can see everybody's email address. If and I tried it before when I could still get away with it. I, for instance, just asked Tebo for an email list of all the conference attendees when I did a different type of a workshop, and I emailed the things before to everyone. Another thing that I've tried was to get everybody to make a Gmail address so I could share it via the Google platform with everybody. But now it's much easier. I just take what I want to share, make the shortened URL or the URL or the QR code on the big screen, and you can scan it and go on. I won't be able to see who I shared it with. So it's as the owner of this little space, I can decide what I want to do with the files. So that's what makes Google wonderful in this sense. Now, how did I do this? First of all, in Microsoft Word, I started to type something in there. Let's see if I can just enlarge the screen a bit. Right. I, for instance, started and I typed in the learning experience. Let us evaluate what Industry 4.0 means to us. I've underlined meaning which means if I click on meaning, it's going to open up something. And check this out by clicking here. The here will take me to a little video. But for you as the audience, as the students in the class, it's a surprise because you don't know what's hidden there. So that kind of guides me to where I'm going. Now, when I made this, it's actually very easy. I'm going to open up a blank page. I started to type something like, let me just enlarge the font so we all can see clearly. Let us examine this. Right, I decided I'll do that, and I want a video, the video in my Google Drive, to appear on any device for my students when they tap or click on this. So, all that I do now is in Google Drive, let's say I want this video to appear. The moment I click on this video, watch here on top, I've got icons appearing. Remove it. This, of course, I'm doing a paper on this now. I call it the fourth language, the fourth unspoken language, because there's icons on the screen which everybody understands in the world. It's because we think in mental pictures. If I want to save something, if I check here in Microsoft Word, if I want to save something, I still get that little icon there on top. Who knows what that icon is? That square. Do you know what it is? I know I want to save, but what is that actual picture? Yes. It's a floppy or a stiffy disk. Do you know that our students have never seen a floppy or a stiffy disk before? They don't know what it is. Remember those days when you had to install a program with a heap like this? So they don't know what it is. But it means save. Save on a disk. I think that would be a good idea. Microsoft should change it to a memory stick. Or nowadays you can't even put a CD on anymore because they're like, what? Do you still have CDs? You know. So So this iconography, or the whole icons, I like the stiffy disk idea. That is universal. It's part of the universal. I spoke earlier about UDL, the Universal Design for Learning. It's part of that. And these little icons on top, now I've got a trash can or a dustbin, which means throw it away, remove it. There's an eye, which is preview. And it has even got tags popping up telling us what it means. A little person with a plus means share it with someone. This is web language. And there's a little chain, a link in a chain, which means get the hyperlink. So I must click on the file to be able to get these icons to appear. You see, when I haven't selected a file, they don't appear. When I select one, they appear. When I right-click on any one of this, I get the same options and a bit more. So now I've decided I want to share this file with you. So in my mind, if I want to share it, Google says to me, share. If I think in terms of computer and internet links, it also is very descriptive there and says, get shareable link. So both those options will give me the same type of thing to do. So when I click on Get Shareable Link, Google automatically generates the link for me. And there it is. If you've got it up there now, mine disappeared. Yeah. Right. So if oh no, it is there. There it is. I think it's just bit grayed. Yeah, there it is. So now it gives me the options. Google automatically generated the link, which is the long URL. Look what it says, link sharing is on. In other words, if I want to share it with someone, I can use this link for them to see. If I don't want to, I just switch the sharing off. Then no one else can see the link. Okay, you with me? Does it make sense? And now, if I click on this link, I can copy it. But now let's say we're all colleagues and I want us to be able to edit together in this document. Then I would click here on Sharing Settings. And there it says to me, anyone with the link can view it. So I now know, unless you send this link to everyone in your family throughout the world, only you who have got the link can see it. And the same thing with my students. If I want to share this today for a lecture or a get-together or whatever, then I can share it now. When I'm out of the class in my office, I just switch the link sharing off, and it doesn't work anymore. They can click and go on, they won't see it. So here I can change the settings. Anyone with a link can edit. Anyone with a link can comment, which I like. Students like it because they peer review one another's work in this way. Anyone with a link can view. At this stage, I'm only going to keep it to view, and I just click here on copy the link. And you see it's highlighted. So it means it's already in the memory of the computer. Now I am done. So remember, the link is now copied in the memory of the computer. Now I'm back into Microsoft Word. All that I do is I choose a specific picture or a word that I have on the screen. Okay, you with me? I highlight a specific word. Now I go and I say, insert, and there's my little chain, hyperlink. Address, it's already copied, so I right-click and I paste. The moment I click on OK, there's my hyperlink. So now what I can do is, if I scroll with a mouse, the cursor around in Microsoft, and I stand on this word, watch, there's a tag that pops up. And it says if I want to test it, I must hold down Control and click on that word, and it will take me to that address on the internet. Right. Now that for me is a bit silly, because it means I can edit it. I can change the word this to hoha if I want to. Anyone can change it in there, and I must hold down Control and click. But what if I'm on the phone? How do I hold down Control and click when I'm on the phone? So all that I do then is I directly went into Microsoft Word, File, Save As with one S, And instead of saving it as a Word document, I save it as a PDF. Because PDF stands for Portable Document Format. It's going to be portable through the internet. And I click on Save. And there it opens up the PDF. It's converted already to a PDF. Now, when I stand with a mouse onto this, there's my little hand. And the moment I click, it's activated. Remember, I'm on there we go, on the internet now. It's because I'm the owner. Okay. So what did I do? I took Microsoft Word. I highlighted the parts that I want the students to be able to click or tap on. With my artifacts that I already have in Google Drive in the cloud, I just got the link, the shareable link, and I made that the link in Microsoft Word. Then I saved Word as a PDF. And the next step would be, I take this PDF. Let's just close it here. And I drag and drop it in the Google Drive. There it is. See, it kicked me off again. Let's just reconnect. Right. And there's the PDF that I uploaded in here. And when I just dragged and dropped, and when I right-click on this, I get the PDF's shareable link. And that is the link I put up there. You with me? So it's just a simple PDF. I put in Google Drive, got the link, and I placed the link up there. But it's actually a Word document where I made hyperlinks in for students to check. You with me? Okay. Now, the only other thing that I've done was I downloaded a little program called QR Code Studio. It's free. There's many of them. So please don't live by this example. People always say, what app should I download? What program? I don't know. There's up to 5 million new ones every day. You choose the one that's best for you. Right. This is a QR code creator. Had it been 5 years ago, I still would have sat and draw the little blocks. But now, all that I need to do is I just get this link. See, there's the shareable link. Let's right-click here. Get the link. It's generating it. I copy the link. And in my QR Code Studio, it says to me, yeah, I must put in the link. So I just paste it here, and there's the code. I've got the option now to right-click on it, and it says copy to clipboard. So I just copy it here, and in Microsoft Word, or on my PowerPoint slide, any way you choose, I can paste it and just make it big enough so that everybody can see it. And that's how fast it does it. QR Code Studio, or QR Studio is what I've used. There's many of them. How do I find them? I just Google. They're mostly free. Okay. Right. Now this is how I can connect these things. If I look at a different way of using Google, here under New on Google, just don't tell me it's gone off again. Okay. I suppose you'll find it. I won't get mine directly here. But there's an option called Google Forms. And in Google Forms, you can create any type of a questionnaire. I see there's already 5 people who responded. Thanks. It's in real time. I can add questions. And the types of questions I can do is short answer, paragraph, multiple choice, check boxes, drop down. In other words, choose from a list. Students can upload a file back to me, a Likert scale, grid, and here's a checkbox grid, date and time. I'm not going to do this one now, so let's trash it. Okay. This is Google Forms. And what I've done was, from the Google Forms, I just took that link and I also shared it. I made it a hyperlink. Let's go one back. I made it a hyperlink, and the hyperlink is the one I got in my e-handout. And I also placed it in. Then in the e-handout, I say what you need to know, or your view for discussion. Your view I underlined in that e-handout, and it's the Google form. And I see 5 people already responded in real time right now. There on top it says responses 5. What I can do is this. I can click on responses. I can immediately see the individual responses. So instead of having a clicker or something, here's a voting poll. And I liked it. I used the text more than the video to make a lecture. Can you see yes and no? So immediately I can report back to the audience. But what's nice about this is if I click here, Google has got, now there's already 7 responses. You see it updates live as I go along. Good. If I go here into this little icon, it's the spreadsheet. And there Google creates a spreadsheet for me with everybody's responses on. If I asked you for an email or a name, that would have appeared there, but I didn't. So immediately I've now got, can you see someone else also submitted? Can you see as the people in this room submits, it populates. When I opened, there was 5. Now we're already on 10 submissions. And so each one of the questions will get their various responses back. And I immediately have access to my data. So I can do that, or I can just go back here and can you see how it changes? And I can get my responses from the Google statistics. You'll see now if someone else submits, that pie chart will start changing as well. This is part of Google's attempt also for big data of the 4th Industrial Revolution. So from everyone in this room, I now got an opinion and I have data to see what I can do with. So can you imagine if you do research or you write you write up an article and you're testing teaching and learning in the class, how quickly you can get responses like this. The other day I did one for anthropology. Together we actually wanted to do a podcast of the lecture. And we said, okay, let's do an icebreaker and ask students who believe in extraterrestrials from outer space, yes or no. And we quickly did the voting poll, and it popped up there on the big screen. And it was immediate, and the students loved it. You know, the idea that you get immediate feedback. So the idea of that lecture was we took a tablet, an iPad, and there's a stand that it stands on, and it records you while you're lecturing. And then there's an app. There's many of them that do it, but you can separate the audio from the video. And we did that, and we placed it up as a podcast in Blackboard as well. So students could watch the lecture, students could listen to the podcast, but they had an icebreaker of a vote as well. And the next lecture we opened up and we with the same icebreaker, and we said, right, did you listen to the video, or did you watch the video or listen to the podcast? And interesting enough, that everybody listened, most people listened to the podcast, more than 90%. They didn't watch the video. So these are simple ways of creating the e-handout. So if I go back, I had a Word document with prior created artifacts in the cloud. Wherever you want to save it in your cloud space, whatever cloud space you like to use. I just used Google as an example. Place it in there, get the link, and put the link in a Word document. Make it a PDF. Upload that also, get the link, and it's shared with everyone in the class. Right. It's a real live update. Let's check the responses. There's 11 already. Okay. 10% said no, 90% said yes. That's fairly accurate. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Yes.
The one, the Google Forms.
Yes.
Does the people that you interact with on your forms need to have a Google account, or can they have any? They don't need to have an account.
Right. Good question. If I use Google and I use the Google form like here, the same applies for the video or the link that I share. Does that person need to have a Google account? The person I share it with? No, not at all. Only if you want someone to edit with you, then that person needs a Google account. But you can share it and everyone can view, but if you want them to edit it at the same time, then they need a Google account. Is it possible to create a test with Google Forms? Yes, you can do that if you trust the data that comes through. I would use it for a class test, for instance, or for a quick type of a class assessment, or like I've done here. And then when you download it in the spreadsheet, you can upload those things again inside Blackboard. But you have to be careful, because the responses you get in is now anonymous if you don't say to, or if you want them to add their names in a field, the students. So the responses also appear in the order that they come in. So your list won't be alphabetical. You can always sort it if you want the name in Excel. Then you can sort it when you've downloaded it. But sometimes someone is called Nonkulela, but everybody knows her as Cookie. And they type in Cookie. And then you can't find that person on the class list. So check those type of things as well. You see how the responses came in. "45, 48, 50, 25, 29, 11, 55, 56. You see it's by time. So the moment it's submitted, it comes in there. So it's not in alphabetical order. In this case, it's a type of a survey. So I don't really worry about the names. But for a test, I would suggest something like type in your student number. It's a normal short answer that you ask. And it will appear in the list. It appears by line, by row. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. Right. I'm going to give us, what's the time now? Yes. Let's take half an hour, 30 minutes. And I want you to find on the internet, even in Wikipedia, any site, just find a bit of information that you can upload in a Google Drive if you've got one. If you haven't got one, do it with someone who's got a Gmail account. And I just want you to create a short e-handout. So you use Word and you highlight certain words and give them the hyperlinks of what is in the cloud, the stuff that you've uploaded in Google Drive. It doesn't also necessarily have to be in Google Drive. If it's a direct YouTube link to a video, you can copy that URL and you can insert it as a hyperlink inside your Word document, which you are going to PDF eventually. Right, so it doesn't have to be necessarily stored in a cloud space. However, YouTube and Google they are related. Do you know that Google owns YouTube? And did you know that Blackboard owns Moodle? They bought them out 2 years ago in July. Yeah. So everything's anyway there up in the cloud. Okay, so let's take about half an hour, and I want you to play around with this. And as you're sitting next to somebody as well, ask that person. And the best way is to click and tick and check what I can do with this. Even if it's only one video that you can hyperlink in Word, then you can and can share it with someone. You can email the link to them. You can directly share it in, if you use Google, with their email address, or give the URL. The wonderful thing of all of this is you can also do it in PowerPoint. So if you check PowerPoint, here's my PowerPoint. There on top, there's insert, there's hyperlink. So I can do it in any presentation package that I use to communicate with students. Okay. You're going to give it a try? Okay. So it's always good to, at some places, give the source as well. Because it's now featuring in your handout, it's safe, but yet it's an example of doing a proper list of sources. Just give the original person the recognition. So then you know you're on the safe side as well. What you can also do is at the end of your handout, just make a list of sources or references. Okay. And students like it if there's extra in there, if they want to have another look at something else. You know, something more than only the video you gave them. They want something more on the topic. Okay. So those are all good options to try. And Google as well has got the ability, or there are so many Google apps And Google has got the ability to pick up what you're trying to do. And those guys sit there 24/7 and they try and develop new apps the whole time to help us. So under those little blocks in Google, if you want to use it, just you can go and search there for applications, Google Apps, that is there. There are amazing things in there. And it all can share, can create links, can create PowerPoints or presentations. There's many, many things that can be done. So I recommend that you play around with what Google has to offer as it works in the cloud. And that's the way to share the things with your students. Right, so that helps quite a lot. Let's see how we're doing with time. Are we? Yes. Okay. Then, yeah, that gives us about at 12:40 it's lunch. So if you want to play around, you're more than welcome for another 10 minutes or so. Then I've basically planted the seed that I wanted to, just to give you the idea of how the e-handout works. And people love it. You can even do an online lecture if you Google Cast, but your handout is the e-handout. So you can do it online as well and share the folder with the people as well. And with that, I say thank you very much. I hope you can apply this in your classrooms. It's a matter of playing around. And then you've got it. You can also try, if you're in Google, with Google Presentations or even in Google Doc, and share it with someone else. And ask that person to type in something. I wanted to do it yesterday afternoon. And you'll see that person's name pops up in real time. And even if you do a presentation or you work with certain things, it happens in real time in front of you, just like the form. We saw how the responses came in. Right. So that's a bit of exposure to this. But if you play creative, you can come up with amazing e-handouts and stuff for the students. So with that, I say thank you very much. And enjoy and kick ass in those classrooms. We won't fall off the fourth IR horse. We're there. So thank you very much.